الرحيم. السلام عليكم. Hello everybody. My dear students at Port-Said University Faculty of Commerce English program, this is our course Organizational Behavior, and this course is for the first grade. And this lecture will be the last lecture at our course for this semester. And in this lecture we are going to discuss and cover chapter 8 entitled Communication. Learning objectives for this chapter. After reading the current chapter, you will be able to understand what communication is, identify the major functions of the communication process, identify the key elements of the interpersonal communication process, discuss the types of organizational communication, discuss the different directions of communication, recognize the types of organizational communication networks. An introduction for this chapter. Indeed, no individual, group, or organization can exist without sharing meaning. Meaning like information, like knowledge. So, no individual, group, or organization can exist without sharing meaning among its members. So, for sharing information and knowledge, communication should be effective. Effective communication, if it existed, would occur when thought or idea was transmitted, so the receiver received exactly the same mental picture as the sender. What is communication? Communication is the transfer and understanding of meaning. Communication encompasses both interpersonal communication and organizational communication. Interpersonal communication, communication between two or more people inside the organization. Organizational communication, which is all the patterns, networks, and the systems of communication within an organization. Actually, both types, interpersonal communication and organizational communication, are very important to managers. So managers need to understand both types of communication. What are the functions of communication? Communication serves four major functions: control, motivation, emotional expression, and sharing the information. Each function is equally important. The first function is control. Communication acts to control employee behavior in several ways, whether this way is formal or informal. The second function for the communication is motivation. Communication acts to motivate by clarifying to employees what is to be done, how well they are doing, and what can be done to improve their performance. The third function for the communication is emotional expression. The emotional expression. For many employees, their work group is a primary source of social interaction. The communication that takes place within the group is a fundamental mechanism by which members share frustrations and feelings of satisfaction. Communication provides emotional expression of feelings and for fulfillment of social needs. The fourth function, and last one of course, for the communication is information sharing. Finally, individuals and groups need information to get things done. In organizations, communication provides that information. As we said before, there are two types of communication through the organization. The first type is interpersonal communication, and the second one is organizational communication. What is the interpersonal communication process? Before communication takes place, it needs a purpose, a message to be conveyed between a sender and a receiver. The sender encodes the message, converts it to a symbolic form, and passes it through a medium or a channel to the receiver. The receiver will decode this message in order to understand the meaning of the message. The result is transfer of meaning from one person to another. Exhibit 8.1 shows the interpersonal communication process model. So in this exhibit, we'll find the interpersonal communication process. And in this model, you will find here the sender. Sender will encode message and will pass this message through a medium or channel to the receiver. Receiver will decode the message in order to understand the content of this message. And here you will find noise that can be exist during the transformation of the message. And also here you will find the feedback that comes from the receiver to the sender. As can be seen at the exhibit 8.1, there are some key parts of the communication process as follows. 1. The sender initiates a message by encoding thought. Encoding, converting a message into symbols. 3. The message. Message is the actual physical product of the sender's encoding. When we speak, the speech is the message. When we write, the writing is the message. 4. The channel. Communication channel is the medium through which the message travels. The sender selects it, determining whether to use formal or informal channel. Formal channels are established by the organization and transmit messages related to the professional activities to the members. They traditionally follow the authority chain within the organization. Other forms of messages, such as personal or social, follow informal channels, which emerge as a response to individual choices. 5. Decoding, retranslating a sender's message. 6. The receiver. Receiver is the person to whom the message is directed, who must first translate the symbols into understandable form. 7. Noise. Any disturbances that interfere with the transmission, receipt, or feedback of the message. 8. The feedback. Feedback is the check on how successful we have been in transferring our messages as originally intended. It determines whether understanding has been achieved or not. The second type of communication that can be exist in the organization is organizational communication. Organizational communication represents all the patterns, networks, and systems of communication within an organization. Types of the organizational communication. Communication within an organization is described as formal communication or informal communication. Formal communication refers to communication that takes place within organizational work arrangements, For example, when a manager asks an employee to complete a task, that is formal communication. The informal communication is an organizational communication not defined by the organization's structural hierarchy. So it's not defined by the organization's structural hierarchy. When employees talk with each other, they engage in informal communication. The informal communication system achieves two purposes in the organizations. The first purpose is it encourages employees to satisfy their need for social interaction. The second purpose for the informal communication, it can improve an organization's performance by creating alternatives, channels of communication. And these channels frequently faster and more efficient than the formal channels. The directions of communication. Organizational communication can flow vertically across the different organizational levels or laterally through the same organizational level. And we will discuss this as the Exhibit 8.2. So in Exhibit 8.2, we can find, in this exhibit, we can find the vertical communication and we can find the lateral communication or lateral line. The vertical communication can be categorized to the downward communications and the upward communications. Downward communication that flows from one level of a group or organization to a lower level. So this is the downward communication. And it's used to inform, direct, coordinate, and evaluate the employees. The upward communication. Upward communication flows from employees to managers. It keeps the managers aware of how employees feel about their jobs, and of course, keep managers informed about the employees' performance, their co-workers, and the organization in general. The lateral or horizontal communication, when a communication takes place among members of the same work group, members of work groups at the same level, managers at the same level, or any other horizontally equivalent workers, we describe it as lateral communication or horizontal communication. So in this exhibit, you will find the lines of communication: upward line communication to senior executives and shareholders, and downward line provide direction to the project team, and lateral line the communication to government authorities, clients, vendors, and other stakeholders. Organizational communication networks. The vertical and horizontal flows of organizational communication can be combined into a variety of patterns called communication networks. Here we are going to consider the concept of formal small group network. Formal small group network can be divided into 3 common small groups of 5 people each. So, having a look at the exhibit 8.3, the formal small group networks. The first network is chain, the second is like wheel, the third is all channel. So, this is like chain, the communication process takes place from up to down and from down to up through chain. At the wheel, you will find the communication process takes place from up to down and from down to up, but this person is like the center of the communication process. So here, at this network called or channel, you will find that the communication process takes place from everyone to each other. So it's like circle. So like a chain, like wheel, like circle or networked channel. The criteria for these to evaluate these networks for the speed will be moderate here, and here will be fast, here will be fast. Accuracy will be high, will be high, will be moderate. Because it's like circle. There are many noises around or through these channels. Emergence of leader here will be moderate, here high, here none, because all of these persons work as leaders. Member satisfaction here will be moderate, here will be low, here will be high. يبقى إذن السرعة في نقل المسجز هيكون هنا متوسطة، لكن هنا هتكون سريعة وهنا هتكون سريعة، وهنا متوسطة لأنها بتحتاج وقت طويل عشان تتحرك من أعلى إلى أسفل أو من أسفل إلى أعلى. accuracy الدقة هتكون هنا high، الدقة هتكون هنا عالية لأن الأوامر بتنزل مباشرة، وهنا الأوامر أيضا بتنزل مباشرة أكتر، وعلشان كده الدقة هتكون عالية، لكن هنا هتكون مودريت لأن زي ما قلنا إن في عملية نويز، في ضوضاء ممكن تحدث في عملية نقل المعلومات بين الأفراد. emergence of leader هنا طبعا في حاجة متوسطة لوجود قائد، إن يكون موجود قائد يصدر المعلومات من أعلى إلى أسفل. هنا القائد هيكون مهم جدا لأن هو بمثابة السنتر أو المحور اللي بتنطلق منه المعلومة لكل الأفراد. هنا طبعا مفيش حاجة لوجود قائد لأن كل الأفراد بمثابة leaders. member satisfaction مدى رضاء الناس اللي موجودين داخل النتورك. member satisfaction هتكون هنا moderate، هتكون متوسطة، هنا هتكون low ضعيفة قوي لأن الأفراد بيشعروا إن هم كلهم تابعين لشخص سنتر، وبالتالي مفيش حتى فرصة لعملية الكارير ديفلوبمنت. الممبرشيب ساتسفاكشن هنا هتكون هاي لأن الأفراد بيشعروا إن هم شركاء في عملية الانفورميشن شيرنج في المعلومات، وبالتالي الساتسفاكشن هنا بنجده ان هو عالي. حتى هنا الاشخاص ما بيشعروش ان في بوس وفي سبورتنت، مفيش رئيس ومفيش مرؤوس، يعني بيشعروا ان هم على نفس الدرجه من الاهميه. At the end of this lecture, hope all is going well with you, and thanks so much. And as I told you at the beginning of this lecture will be the last lecture at our course. See you soon and thanks so much.